Howdy.
Oh, let me get down here. I'm Gray Pilgrim. And what you're looking at today, you've seen before. This is my WWII carbine. VZOR or VZ24 was the designation that Czechoslovakia used for rifles, carbines, and the like that they made on some Mauser tooling they bought from Germany after World War I and set up in the industrial town of Brno, Czech Republic, what today is Czech Republic, what then was Czechoslovakia. This was in turn sold, this particular one, they sold many to lots and lots of powers back then. This one was sold to Romania and was sold before World War II. And I know that because of the crest that's up here. Now the crest is very worn. You can barely see it. I've tried to show it, take pictures of it, but it's impossible. Online, go look up King Carol's carbine. That's what it's called, a King Carol carbine. It's the carbines used by Romania just before World War II. And it was approved by the last king of Romania named King Carol. Anyway, there's some unique things about it. For one thing, you'll notice this sling swivel down here. Well, they've also got a sling swivel here, here, and here. The reason is you build a carbine for your cavalry. You need another one for the tankers and another one for the clerks, the behind-the-scenes second echelon troops who don't need a rifle because their main task, their main job does not involve lugging a rifle around the countryside all day. But they do need some kind of weapon to be handy at all times. Take a look at the behind-the-scenes second echelon people during D-Day. Oh no, excuse me, during Battle of the Bulge. You see what I mean. Well, anyway, Romania, being a poor country, decided that if they did this, they could have one that was slingable across your back and another one was slingable on your arm in one carbine. Just change the sling from one to the other. It's a thing that's been used by other countries since and before. But I think that this was done, well, it's a very pretty carbine. Now, my problem with it is that this is supposed to be chambered in 8mm Mauser. Well, I want to show something. These are Forester go and no-go gauges. Now, what's a go and no-go gauge? If you had an armorer in your company or your division or whatever, he would take every rifle that came in. Some of these rifles have been shot to hell, and some of them are pristine and right from the factory. So if they've been shot to hell, the chamber here might be a few thousandths off. Excuse me. Well, what you do is you have a normal armor would have three gauges. One is called a go gauge, and that is let me see, which one do I have here? Nope, this is the go gauge. The second one is called a field gauge. This means it meets all the specifications for the chamber of the, in this case, 8x57 Mauser cartridge. Field gauge means that it's worn by a few thousandths, but as long as it will chamber this one, it still works. You'd also have a no-go gauge, which is slightly under or over the chamber, usually over the chamber size. And if it closes on the no-go, then you reject it and toss the thing into the scrap pile. So I take the go gauge, put it in, and close the bolt, and it doesn't shut. That's interesting. It doesn't shut at all. But the go gauge does get stuck in there. So let's try the field gauge. Also sticks, but does not chamber. Well, I happen to have a field gauge for 308, 7.62x51 NATO, and I'll try it. Well, it does shut, but it's so deep down in there, I don't think But for one thing, the extractor does not grab the shell. So what I need to do is take a cleaning rod and knock that field gauge back out. So I don't know exactly what size this thing is. I know it's supposed to be 8 Mauser, but I'll never shoot it with 8 Mauser in it because 8 Mauser doesn't fit in it. I don't get it. So what do? Well, most people would use a substance called Cerosafe, and I have some, and I'm thinking of using it. Cerosafe is a product that's made by Brownells. It's sort of a kind of solder, but where solder melts somewhere around 200 or 300 degrees, whatever a soldering iron gets to. Cerosafe is made out of something that melts at around 158 or so degrees. And what you do is you heat it up in a ladle over a propane torch until it's molten. You pull your bolt out of your gun. You run a cleaning rod down with a patch in it just in front of the chamber. Then you pour Cerosafe into the chamber, let it cool, then use the cleaning rod to tap it out. You now have something that looks like this. This is exactly the size of the chamber of this gun. You then measure it with a caliper, and then you take those measurements to a book like Cartridges of the World, where they have lists of every cartridge ever made, and see what's closest to whatever this thing is chambered for. It could be that this thing was wildcatted, made into some chamber that's not on anybody's list. Wildcat is what they call somebody who does like 257 Ackley Improved, which started out as a Wildcat. Many of the cartridges used today started out as Wildcats. For instance, 308 was a Wildcat copy of the 300 Savage, slightly higher pressures. So I don't know. You can come up with some Wildcats, and sometimes they actually get adopted. Sometimes they don't. There's many out there that have done that. I don't know if this has been done that way. If it has, I need to have it re-reamed and changed to some other more rational caliber. I think that is a 7.92 barrel, which means I'm pretty well limited in that respect. I'd have to put a new barrel on it to actually get it somewhere shootable. It looks pretty on the wall, but I really would like to be able to shoot it. Anyway, that's what I've been up to lately. Oh, by the way, on another note, my YouTube channel, I've got a lot of subscribers, thank you. But another thing that's happened, every time I upload to YouTube, I also upload to BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey. And I've noticed on BitChute, at least, where I have about a third as many subscribers, or less, more like a sixth as many subscribers, within the next hour or two, it blows up with views. So I'll get, for me, I'll get 60, 70, 80 views over there. And YouTube, I get maybe 20. I'm not alone in that. I'm sure that most gun tubers who put out some stuff about these evil gunses are being shadow banned. Not just the big guys, the little guys. That ain't cricket. So, just something I've observed. So, if you like, I just, take a look at my stuff. And take a look at all the other guys, too. Happy trails.